The dark side of marriage in northern Nigeria. Why some women risk their lives to escape. In the heart of northern Nigeria, a quiet but desperate struggle is unfolding, one that many prefer to ignore. Young girls barely in their teens are handed over in marriage to men sometimes 3 or 4 times their age. In some regions, it's considered tradition, but for these girls, it can feel like a life sentence. What happens when a woman trapped in such a marriage decides she cannot take it anymore? Some risk everything, fleeing into the unknown, knowing that being caught could mean death. Why is this happening? Why do some women in northern Nigeria find it safer to run for their lives than to stay in their homes? The cultural and religious context of marriage in northern Nigeria. Marriage in northern Nigeria is deeply tied to cultural and religious traditions, making it a complex issue. The region, predominantly Muslim, follows Sharia law in many states, which permits marriage once a girl reaches puberty. For conservative families, this means a girl can be married as early as 12 or 13. There is a strong belief that early marriage preserves a girl's honor, prevents premarital sex, and secures her future. Families also see it as a way to ensure financial security as the husband takes over responsibility for the girl. But what is often ignored is the psychological and physical toll on these young brides. Many are forced to leave school, are pressured to have children early, and are often married to much older men who already have multiple wives. The societal pressure to conform is enormous. Women who resist are seen as disobedient and rebellious, and in extreme cases, they are completely ostracized by their families and communities. This pressure makes escaping a terrifying decision, one that comes with serious risks. The reality of forced and child marriages. To understand why some women risk their lives to escape, we must look at the conditions they endure. Many of these marriages are not built on love or mutual respect. They are about control. In places like Kano, Katsina, Zamfara, and Sokoto, reports of domestic violence, marital rape, and emotional abuse are widespread. Yet many women remain silent because the law and society do not favor them. Lack of legal protection. The Child Rights Act of 2003 sets the legal marriage age at 18, but many northern states have refused to implement it. They argue that it contradicts Islamic teachings, which state that a girl can marry at puberty. As a result, child marriage continues unchecked. Even when girls try to report abuse, they are often sent back to their husbands with advice to endure for the sake of peace. The police rarely intervene, and religious and traditional leaders, who hold significant power, often discourage women from seeking justice. In many cases, women who try to escape are forcibly returned to their abusers or punished by their own families. Harrowing stories of escape. Some women choose to flee despite the risks. Take the case of Zainab Mohammed, a 16-year-old girl from Katsina. She was married off to a 45-year-old man who beat her regularly. When she tried to escape, she was caught and severely punished by her family. On her second attempt, she made it to Abuja, where she was taken in by a women's shelter. Even there, she lived in fear that her family would track her down and drag her back. Another case is Hawa Ibrahim, who ran away from her home in Kano after years of abuse. She found work as a maid in Lagos, but because she had no formal education, she struggled to survive. Many women like her end up in modern slavery, trafficked into forced labor or prostitution. The role of secret escape networks. Due to the risks, underground escape networks have formed to help women flee abusive marriages. Organizations like Mirabel Center in Lagos, Women at Risk International Foundation, Wigara Werif, and the Famwan Women's Shelter in Kano secretly provide shelter, medical care, and counseling for women on the run. However, these organizations face constant threats. Some religious and community leaders accuse them of corrupting traditional values and interfering with marriage customs. Some shelters have even been shut down due to pressure from conservative groups. For many women, the escape process is dangerous. Some disguise themselves as boys to avoid suspicion, while others travel at night to avoid being recognized. But even after escaping, life is far from easy. Many struggle with depression, PTSD, and deep-seated trauma from years of abuse. The psychological and social impact of forced marriage. The psychological scars of forced marriage run deep. Studies show that women in forced marriages have higher rates of depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts. Many are denied education and financial independence, leaving them completely dependent on their husbands. In cases where a woman escapes, she often faces extreme social stigma. Many are labeled as spoiled or dishonorable and are rejected by their families. Some are even hunted down in the name of honor killings, where families kill their own daughters to restore their reputation. One survivor, Aisha Abdullahi, recounted how she had to change her identity after fleeing her marriage in Zamfara. Even in Lagos, she still receives death threats from her family, who believe she has brought shame upon them. The resistance against change. Despite the obvious harm caused by forced and early marriages, there is strong resistance to change. Many leaders in the North argue that the Child Rights Act contradicts religious laws and should not be enforced. Others believe that changing marriage customs is a Western agenda meant to destroy traditional African and Islamic values. Politicians, fearing backlash, avoid the topic altogether. In 2013, when Senator Ahmed Yerima was criticized for marrying a 13-year-old Egyptian girl, he defended himself by saying it was permitted under Islamic law. His case highlighted the deep divide between religious beliefs and human rights laws. Even female activists who speak out against child marriage receive threats. Aisha Yusufu, a vocal advocate for women's rights in northern Nigeria, has been attacked online and in public for challenging traditional norms. Is there a way out? Breaking this cycle requires a multifaceted approach. Education is one of the most powerful tools in fighting child marriage. When girls are allowed to complete school, they are less likely to be married off early. But in the North, millions of girls are still out of school, either because their families do not believe in female education or because they are forced into marriage. Economic empowerment is another solution. When women have financial independence, they are less likely to tolerate abusive relationships. However, job opportunities for women in conservative northern states remain scarce. Most importantly, there must be a shift in cultural attitudes. Many families marry off their daughters because they believe it is the right thing to do. Until marriage is seen as a choice rather than an obligation, the cycle will continue. Conclusion. For now, countless women remain trapped in marriages they never wanted, silently enduring their fate. But some, desperate, fearless, and determined, will risk everything to escape. Many will suffer, some will disappear, and a few will make it out alive. But the real question is, when will society truly listen to their voices? This is a reality too many people ignore. But these women exist. Their suffering is real. And until real change happens, northern Nigeria will continue to witness the silent rebellion of women who refuse to be imprisoned by tradition. What do you think? Should more efforts be made to end child and forced marriage in Nigeria? Let's discuss in the comments. Thanks for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more.